What's going on, Green Teamers? You're watching Celtics Today by Chat Sports. My name is Tyler Smith, and I'm going to tell you guys some great news today about Neemias Queta, the presumptive Celtics starting center for 25-26. Also, are the C's making another move as they continue to cut costs this offseason? And could they actually not cut costs and sign another player with one roster spot remaining in Ben Simmons? We'll talk about all these stories in just a second, but first, it's what, August 7th right now? If you're watching Celtics Today at this point in the offseason, you are an absolute sicko. So before we start, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Go down below, hit the big red sub button. It's 100% free Celtics content all year long. It's 53,000 subs here. Join an awesome community of diehard C's fans. And then go down below and like the video as well. Show support on today's show to get it out to as many people as possible. Get it in that YouTube jet stream. And then, to top it off, comment below your favorite Celtic of all time. I'll be responding, liking all those comments to see where you guys are at and how long you guys have been a fan. All right, let's talk about it, man. Neemias Queta. Some great news on Nemi here as the Celtics front court has a lot of uncertainty heading into next season after losing Kristaps Porzingis, Al Horford, Luke Kornet, and obviously Jason Tatum, who plays a lot of minutes in the front court as well for all of next season. But Neemias Queta is getting some work in this offseason with his home country of Portugal playing in the EuroBasket, and he had a really, really solid showing in his first matchup. And an exhibition game, so it's nothing too serious yet, but Portugal's first win over Spain ever in the history of, I think it might be international play, but definitely EuroBasket. And in only 20 minutes, Neemias Queta goes out there after a very short practice window before they actually get into game action, puts up 17 points, 9 rebounds, 2 steals, and he was 6 of 7 from the field. And he also sealed the game. Portugal won this game 76-74. Neemias Queta literally had the game winner, sealed the game with a reverse dunk to close out the Spaniards. So that is an awesome showing for him, and this is great news, and we'll talk about it in a second, but Portugal is playing Spain's B team today, so hopefully that they kind of clean up house there. Hopefully Neemias Queta doesn't have to play too long and they blow him out. Portugal was actually down 17 points. I believe it was 34-17 in that first half. Portugal slams all the way back, and Neemias Queta was a big, big part of it. But why this is great news, honestly, in the grand scheme of things, you would think, Neemias Queta is overseas playing basketball right now, not with the Celtics. It's risking injury. It's probably bad news when you think about it. But no, this is great news because Neemias Queta is getting a little bit of a tune-up going right now. He actually underwent arthroscopic knee surgery this offseason once the Celtics were eliminated from the playoffs. And this had been something that had kind of been mulling for a while, and they've been looking for a sweet spot to get surgery for Queta. And this is what he had to say to CLNS when talking about the injury and the knee. He said, "It's been good. We've been dealing with this stuff since a couple of years ago, and we just decided it was a great time for us to do it. We're trying to get back to 100%. We feel pretty confident in the process, and we're just grateful that we were taken care of, and I just want to make sure that I'm healthy and back to 100%, and I feel like I'm on the right path to do that." It seems that way, and I love that Neemias Queta is kind of getting a little bit of tune-up after the surgery, getting back into basketball shape, and already immediately into game action overseas, he's producing at a really, really high level, and he's going to have to for the Celtics this season as well as there's a big hole of minutes in the front court that are waiting to be occupied that Neemias Queta has yet to kind of establish himself in the Celtics rotation. Last year he played 62 games, the most of his NBA career so far, but still couldn't amass more than 6-7 minutes a game. So, he hasn't really been a long stretch, consistent rotation NBA center up to this point. It seems like he's going to get that opportunity this season. Brian Robb previously reported, and more of a hunch than a real report here, but it said Neemias Queta feels like the front runner at center, given the continuity and the fact that someone needs to rebound on this team. And given where the Celtics are at with their front court at this point, yeah, they're going to need somebody to rebound, especially when you factor in Jason Tatum not being there. Yeah, you lose Porzingis and Horford, but JT was probably the best overall rebounder on this basketball team. Now you look at what we have in the group now, and I mean, Amari Williams and Xavier Tillman, I'm not so sure that they're going to be in the rotation at all. Who knows how healthy Xavier Tillman is. You sign Luka Garza, but he's never been much of a glass cleaner at the pro level. Chris Boucher averaged 10-5 last year, but you might need to run Boucher and Queta together in some lineups. Boucher can space the floor a little bit. And then Neemias Queta is your true around-the-rim, big-body big that's going to need to gather possessions for this Celtics basketball team and fill a big gap and a big statistical hole on this roster given the losses. And so with that being said, expect Queta, Boucher, and some small ball lineups, and then Luka Garza to really be your platoon centers this season. But Queta's probably going to be the starter playing, a good solid 25 to 30 minutes a night for the better part of the regular season if the Celtics don't improve the front court anymore, which I think is probably pretty far-fetched as far as adding somebody who could leapfrog Neemias Queta in Joe Mazzulla's rotation at this point. So Queta the starter. You could even argue that Boucher starts at the 4 potentially some nights and they run a big lineup, or Luka Garza will come off the bench. That's something that I'm pretty confident in as well. I'm pretty confident in Neemias Queta too to take a big leap this season. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people, and I can't wait to continue watching him in the EuroBasket. I want to know down from you in the comments section, do you believe in Neemias Queta this year as the Celtics starting center? Could they find a diamond in the rough here and have their big man of the future? Let me know in the comment section, yes or no. What do you guys think? Next, are the Celtics making another move soon? After a series of moves late in the offseason, waving J.D. Davison to get under the second apron, and then, making the trade of Georges Niang, and now still having maybe a guy like Anthony Simons on the trade block. Like, this team is yet to be set in stone yet. No Simons introductory press conference yet. There's obviously still a roster spot open. The Celtics in a much better position now to aggregate contracts and move stuff around to make more financially flexible deals happen and get their books even closer and closer to that luxury tax line. A Sports Illustrated reporter said the following. He said, Boston has come too far to stop now. The Celtics seem liable to at least make one or more moves before they dip below that first apron. Simons has felt like a strange on-court fit for a defense-first Boston squad, although at this stage the Celtics' depleted backcourt could just use bodies beyond two-time All-Defensive guard Derek White and Sixth Man of the Year Peyton Pritchard. Offloading someone like reserve big man Xavier Tillman, who only makes a little bit more than $2 million, so that wouldn't get you below the first apron, or floor-spacing bench wing Sam Hauser could get Boston below the apron, depending on the deal, but Hauser at least provides major off-ball value and might be worth keeping for Tatum's return. And look, I know he's mentioning that, and he's kind of like reneges on it at the last moment. One thing I know here from Brad Stevens and the way that he's operated this offseason, that Sam Hauser is not on the trade block. He's completely off of it. He's not really been held in any discussions. In all the reports that we've heard all offseason long, he has never been even floated out to teams around the league. And that's a good thing because he's a player on a really, really good contract. He shoots plus 40% from three-point range year in and year out. And he's got good enough size to at least be serviceable on the defensive end and give you 100%, 10% effort out there. I'll never forget the possessions of him locking up Kyrie Irving in the corner back in the 2024 NBA Finals. But a name that absolutely is on the trade block and is, my opinion, more likely to finish the 25-26 campaign on another team other than Boston is Anthony Simons. And it's only for the sole fact that he makes $27 million. And if you can kind of cut some of that money and get closer to the luxury tax line, which are only $12 million off of at this point, is there a way that you could combine Xavier Tillman and Anthony Simons, which would get you to around $30 million to, maybe take back $18 million in salary, and now you're not a luxury tax team when those penalties kick in at the end of the year, and you're not a repeater anymore. Your roster flexibility for years down the line is so much more open if you can get under that luxury tax line. So even if Simons is a plus asset in Boston this season, I don't think Brad Stevens would hesitate to get some assets back for him and cut some money in the process. Now, coming up next, a Ben Simmons free agency update with the Celtics still having one more roster spot open on their sheet right now. We're going to talk about a guy that's kind of got the Celtics in his group of finalists in his free agency pursuits. That in just a moment. But first, get hooked up with this awesome deal at this link right here, chatsports.com/champ sale. Guys, this championship shirt was $38. It's $13 right now. This is a literal steal. It's like you're getting Goodwill prices from us here at Chat Sports. So go get it at this link below. Got caricatures of all the contributors. I know a lot of those guys are gone and JT's not playing this season, but they're Celtics for life, in my opinion. And I'm going to get myself one of these tees as well. This link right here, chatsports.com/champ sale. That's chatsports.com/champ sale. I put that link in the comment section and description of today's video to make it easy for you guys. Go get yourself a 2024 title shirt right now. Alrighty, let's get into it. Brett Siegel of Clutch Points did say that Boston and New York have been at the forefront of conversations surrounding Ben Simmons this free agency cycle. He's had some interest from a couple other teams. I believe the Suns and the Kings had some interest. I think the Kings are more interested in Russell Westbrook right now, and the Suns, I don't even know what they're doing. It seems like Ben Simmons probably wants to play in the Eastern Conference on a team that has some semblance of competitiveness next season. I know the Celtics, Peyton Pritchard and company, they're all saying that we're not taking a gap year. We still want to contend and be a playoff team and try to make a run at a championship. I don't know how realistic that is, but maybe Ben Simmons would buy into that a little bit. More from Siegel here on his weekend report. He said Ben Simmons has drawn the most interest from the Celtics and the Knicks and is expected to choose where he will play during the 25-26 season soon. Maybe another team could swoop in and convince Simmons to sign with them, but these are the two most discussed avenues across league circles for the former first overall pick. This is my guess, though, is that Simmons ends up in New York. And then this, I believe, was published right before the Celtics made the Georges Niang trade and the Chris Boucher move. And Siegel, quoted the article with this right here. He said that after the Celtics had just signed Chris Boucher, it appears as if the Knicks are the favorites to bring in Simmons and on a vet minimum contract. Now, the Celtics, with the position that they're in right now, a first apron team, they do have the taxpayer mid-level exception, so they could actually outbid the Knicks on this deal. And if you're this late in the video, they actually technically could give Al Horford a deal, but this is about cutting costs at this point. The Celtics meet the league requirements of 14 players on the roster right now, and they don't really seem to need to add anything left to this team. Chris Boucher seems like a player that they elected to have on the roster over Ben Simmons at this point, so that's kind of the path the Celtics are going down right now, and it seems that unless they can find a Simons trade before the season starts, the roster that we have set right now is the one that we're going to see open the season in October. Now, Amari Williams, the Celtics second-round pick, is yet to sign a contract on the team. That's why they're probably keeping that roster spot open just to see where he can land, whether or not they want to convert one of their two-way guys to a standard deal and then have him take that next two-way slot, because they have the 3 spots filled up right now with Max Shulga, Miles Norris, and most recently RJ Lewis. They got in the Georges Niang trade. So Amari Williams is kind of in limbo right now, but remember, Celtics hold his draft rights. He can't sign with anybody else, so he's under their control. He's going to play most of the season with the main Celtics regardless. But what say you? What do you guys think? Will the Celtics fill their 15th roster spot? With the way that they're cutting costs right now, it wouldn't make much sense to do so. It's more likely that they cut costs rather than add some. But what do you guys think? Yes or no? Will the Celtics fill their roster spot that they need, that they don't really have to, the 15th one? Let me know in the comments. That will do it for today's edition of today's show. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel because it's the dog days of the offseason. I'm running on fumes at this point. There isn't a ton to talk about. We're going to keep you in the loop with everything that you need to know before the Celtics season begins. So lock us in, hit that subscribe button. We'll see you guys in the next one. And as always, let's go C's.